are today, where we have been for a long time, which is that our Constitution is essentially to sail for the highest bidder. You don't have citizens leading initiative petitions anymore. No one is out going out and gathering 170,000 signatures, but that's very doable when you have money. And what we're seeing time after time after time is the left can't get things through the legislature, or a special interest can't get stuff through the legislature after years of failing. Think of medicinal marijuana, recreational marijuana, online sports wagering, things they spent years trying to get into through the legislative process, couldn't, gave up, and then decided, you know what, why should we do that when we can just buy a constitutional amendment? Constitutional amendment is better because the legislature can't go in and play around with it. And what ends up happening when the special interest decides to go through constitutional amendments to get things done, you get the worst possible version of it. It's not just bad laws, that there's a reason the legislature may not have been passing it in the first place, but you also get a terrible version of it, like recreational marijuana. We put 40 pages of new constitutional language in a brand new section. Voters got 50 word ballot summaries. And with that went licensing standards, monopoly regulation, testing standards that were all designed to benefit a few particular companies that got licenses out of this. And sports wagering went the same. They wrote in their own tax deductions. They ran that whole campaign. Remember those? You guys saw tons of commercials, right, on sports wagering last year? What were they leading with? Where was all the money going? Schools. But the casinos and gambling always does, the money's going to the schools because they don't pull that well in things like gambling and sports wagering. So they needed to get something that does pull well. We'll all fund schools. Well, what they wrote in the Constitution, because it can't be undone by the legislature or messed with, was a lot of deductions. They get to deduct all their promotional costs, all their marketing costs, and all those things. And where do we end up? We end up with, well, that tax rate is illusory. They don't actually pay that tax. I think our first receipts came in, and I mean, we're talking about $1 billion industry here, just in Missouri alone, in sports wagering. They paid, I think it was $500,000 in taxes, first receipts of it. We are going to get substantially less because they went through the amendment process, and they never had to talk to anyone. They never were subjected to any scrutiny. There was nothing about their deductions in the ballot summary. Do you remember seeing that? And you know, coming on the heels of Amendment 3 is a great place to start and kind of set this discussion about the dangers of it all. You know, the reason I think, you know, the reason the left says we need the initiative petition process to stay how it is, and why some on the right would even say this because they want to protect citizen voice. Right now, we have a backward system where it is easier to amend our foundational governing document, our Constitution, than it is to just pass a law. That is a backwards way to govern. There's a reason our U.S. Constitution is not subject to an initiative petition process. There's a reason why we set the standards at 2/3 of the U.S. Senate and House, 3/4 of legislative bodies to propose to ratify an amendment. There's a reason why we set these bars so high and it almost never happens. Yet in Missouri, we have made it easier to actually undermine the actual statutes themselves than it is to even pass the statutes. And that's really what we need to correct. I think it's bad from a foundational governing standpoint, it's backwards to how the American system is supposed to work and how a Republican form of government works, but it also is actively hurting the citizens and the people of Missouri because our Constitution is basically for sale to anyone who's willing to spend the money to collect signatures and then come up with 50-word summaries that sound good while hiding 40-page amendments behind it. And making sure that, you know, people who have no time, who aren't going to read the 40 pages, see 50 words that sound kind of good, don't know what else is in it, and then with a good enough campaign, like we're going to fund all the schools and all the money is going to go there,